In this video, we'll compare the sound quality of the different Zoom field recorders using their integrated microphones, recording a single subject speaking with the microphone just placed right in front of the subject on a tabletop microphone stand. So we're going to include the Zoom H1, the Zoom H2n, the H5, and the H6. And then we're also going to take a look at 4 different capsules for the Zoom H5 and H6. We'll also include the Shure SM58, which is going to be a microphone we'll plug in through the XLR jack on the Zoom H6. And just as a benchmark, a point of reference, I'll also let you know what it sounds like recording just on my cell phone's integrated mic. If you'd like to follow along with this audio test blind, the thing to do is minimize this window. I won't have any spoilers in the audio, so you can write down your own scores and impressions of the audio as you hear it. I'll be back in the end with some conclusions. All right, talk to you later. This is 9580. About 40 years ago, I was taking a long trip on foot over mountain heights quite unknown to tourists in that ancient region where the Alps thrust down into Provence. All this, at the time I embarked upon my long walk through these deserted regions, was barren and colorless land. Nothing grew there but wild lavender. This is 4243. The wind on its tiles made the sound of the sea upon its shore. The place was in order, the dishes washed, the floor swept, his rifle oiled, his soup was boiling over the fire. I noticed then that he was cleanly shaved, that all his buttons were firmly sewn on, that his clothing had been mended with meticulous care. This is 8725. That was the whole of our conversation. When he had set aside a large enough pile of good acorns, he counted them out by tens, meanwhile eliminating the small ones or those which were slightly cracked, for now he examined them more closely. When he had thus selected 100 perfect acorns, he stopped, and we went to bed. 1065. Before leaving, my friend simply made a brief suggestion about certain species of trees that the soil here seemed particularly suited for. He did not force the point, for the very good reason, he told me later, that Bouffier knows more about it than I do. 2863. During his lifetime, Jean Giono, who considered himself to be Italian and Provençal, in addition to French, was judged one of the greatest writers of our age by such authorities as Henri Peyer and André Malraux. Both Pierre and Malraux ranked Giono first or second in French 20th century literature. This is 1852. The shepherd went to fetch a small sack and poured out a heap of acorns on the table. He began to inspect them one by one with great concentration, separating the good from the bad. I smoked my pipe. I did not offer to help him. He told me that it was his job, and in fact, seeing the care he devoted to the task, I did not insist. This is 9134. He had pursued his plan, and beech trees as high as my shoulder, spreading out as far as the eye could reach, confirmed it. He showed me handsome clumps of birch planted 5 years before, that is, in 1915, when I had been fighting in Verdun. He had set them out in the valleys where he had guessed, and rightly, that there was moisture almost at the surface of the ground. 5015. Creation seemed to come about in a sort of chain reaction. He did not worry about it. He was determinedly pursuing his task in all its simplicity. But as we went back towards the village, I saw water flowing in brooks that had been dry since the memory of man. This was the most impressive result of chain reaction that I had seen. This is 6010. He was not dead. As a matter of fact, he was extremely spry. He had changed jobs. Now he had only 4 sheep, but instead 100 beehives. He had got rid of the sheep because they threatened his young trees, for he told me, and I saw for myself, the war had disturbed him not at all. So some of you with golden ears out there might have heard some subtle differences. I think I can hear the difference between my cell phone, certainly, and any of the other microphones here, but I also feel like the shotgun microphone and the Shure SM58 sounded a little better to my ears, and you could hear how the omnidirectional microphone picked up a little bit of background noise. I'd love to hear what you heard in the audio in your comments. But I think in general, if your primary recording scenario is going to be a controlled environment like a studio, and you're going to have a single speaker and you have a tabletop setup, you'll probably be happier with one of the smaller Zoom field recorders. I think it's a big upgrade on just using a cell phone, but I don't know that you should upgrade to the Zoom H6, for example, just for this tabletop scenario. Those are going to make a lot more sense if you have more complicated or demanding recording requirements. All right, I hope you found this useful. If you did, please do follow a link from the description and make your purchase and help support my channel. And if you're looking for a different audio example, check my channel. You might find I have other recordings and comparisons coming up.